welcome to the Tealand Knits knitting podcast. My name's Natasha. I'm originally from the UK, but I currently live on a tropical island called Sri Lanka with my husband Bob. It's been a couple of weeks since I last released an episode because I have been very busy. We've had guests and we've been travelling a bit around the island. Sri Lanka underwent a freak weather event. There was a cyclone that hit the east coast of the island, and when it hit, it also disrupted travel and caused some flooding and landslides, especially in the centre of the island as well, or the hill country, and that's actually where we were. But we're safe. We were able to get back home to Colombo without any problems, but we did see some smaller landslides along the way, so it was a good time to leave. But it's been a really difficult time for everybody, and especially for those in areas where there has been flooding or where they were the worst hit. So it's been a difficult couple of weeks. But we enjoyed having our friends with us staying, but it did mean that I didn't get as much knitting as I would have liked to done. I was able to knit in the car on the way when we went on little trips. And in the hill country itself, it was very cold. It rained all day, every day that we were there. And it was freezing. I mean, my watch said it was 16 degrees Celsius. 16 degrees Celsius, I need to check what that is in Fahrenheit. It's not very cold. If it was 16 degrees in the UK, it wouldn't be very bad at all. But I don't know, it felt freezing. We were all shivering. And our friends were from England and they'd come over, and it's really cold in the UK at the moment, like minus degrees Celsius. It's in the minuses, I mean. But they were freezing as well. So I think it's just because we're not prepared always, because you just think, oh, it's so hot in the rest of the country, and then it's not really going to be that cold when you get to the hill country, and so you don't dress for the weather. But I learnt my lesson. We're hopefully travelling there again in a couple of months, and so I will make sure that I've got my hand knits to hand ready, some socks and things that will keep me nice and warm. So without further ado, I'll just head over to talk about the things that I have worked on. This isn't going to be a very long episode because we still have guests staying with us, and I haven't got that much to show, but still haven't got the ends woven in. But I do now have 2 socks, 2 of the chocolate biscuit socks, so those are done. And then I was very proud of myself because I've been knitting, I've been trying to knit something new, like another sock pattern, and I got a stitch dictionary, which I just can't remember the name of. I bought 2 of them a few months ago, by Andrea Rangel, I think that's how you pronounce her name. I think, is it the KnitOvation, and I can't remember. I'll have to put the information down here. But one of the patterns that she has in the stitch dictionary is of a panda, and I thought the panda was so cute. But I did notice that in her swatches that she adds to the book, in the book, all of the swatches are knit from the bottom up. So the stitches direction are sort of facing that way with the V pointing down. So when you knit top down, you're knitting in the opposite direction. So the V's point down. Instead of getting a knit stitch, you're getting like 2 legs. So this is a knit stitch, you get 2 legs of a knit stitch. But when you knit top down, you get the 2 legs of the knit stitch pointing that way. So it's difficult to show you, but, well, I'll show you like this. So this is what it would look like, this little cross with the knit stitches pointing down. And then with the stitches pointing up, it looks like that. So it's just a slight difference. It just changes the detail a little bit, so I wasn't sure if I was happy. Then after I knit a bit more, I'm quite happy with it. It's very cute. And there is always the option for me to knit toe up as well on the sock. But as I knit on it, I just didn't like the colours that I'd chosen. I just wasn't enjoying the knit, and I felt like if I'm not enjoying it, then I'm probably not going to be happy with it when I've finished. So I've started to unravel it, and so that was what, I don't know, a couple like parts of days were spent doing that, like knitting, unraveling, changing colour, knitting again, unraveling. So my husband always gets a bit, not upset, but upset on my behalf when I have to unravel things. And I said to him, why does it upset you so much? He said, it's just like so much time that you put into it, and then you have to unravel it all and you've got nothing to show for it. And I said, but why does it matter? And he said, I don't know really. I think it's just, obviously we want something to show for a lot of work. But I think with knitting, sometimes it just happens that way. And if I'm not gonna be that happy with them, then I need to change it and unravel and just work on something that I am gonna love. But I love the pandas. This is so cute, so I'm definitely gonna use this pattern, the stitch pattern again, but I'll put them into another pair of socks, try and work out how to make it, how to make it something that I'm happy with. But anyway, so that's also what I've been working on and why it was kind of difficult to have anything to show for today. So then I was getting frustrated with those socks, and then I realised I put them to one side because I thought I'm not sure if I'm happy with them. And I got to the heel, and then I'd started the gusset and the rest of the foot. And I thought, I'm not happy with them, but I don't want to rip them out right now, just in case. So I put them to one side and I finished these socks. So I was very happy. Again, I haven't woven in ends. I've been terrible at doing that, but I was so happy that I finished this pair of socks as well, because it just meant that I've got something else to show for all of that time, and it gave me time to think about the socks with the pandas on, and I decided that I really wasn't that happy with them. So I decided to, well, they're going to be frogged, and I'm going to start again. And I've got something else in mind for how I'm going to put the pattern together. The pattern's a little bit sort of awkward because of the number of stitches that it covers, and also the long floats. So I've just been trying to work out how to minimize the number of long floats, but also how to adjust the stitch count for the pattern so that it fits over a few different sizes, because I want to make it available obviously for different sizes and not just change needle sizes but change the stitch count. So I'm getting there, but I'm just not 100% happy with them. So yeah, so I'll change them anyway. But then I did actually get, so did I bring them? No, I don't think I brought them with me. Let's see. Anyway, I've got another pair. So I told you last time, I think, that I had decided to buy some 40-inch, 100-centimetre long fixed circular needles in a 2.25mm, which I think is a US. Is it a US 1.5? I always get this mixed up. Does it say it on the needle maybe? The lighting is not brilliant. It's showing up the needle. It is actually printed on here. Oh, here we go. No, it just says 2.25 mil. So anyway, 2.25 mil, and then I've got a 2.5 millimeter as well. And so I wanted to try out knitting socks 2 at a time, and so I did. So I've started a pair of socks that all of the yarn is tangled at the moment. I've got 2 balls of yarn set up on my 2 of these. So using them both at the moment. I have been using those yarn holders every single time I knit, and it's so easy to just pull off a ball of yarn and pop another one off if I'm just switching projects. I do in time want to get a few more of the spindles so that I can just switch the yarn around more easily without having to keep taking it off, especially if you're getting down to like, if I have to unravel like this, or if you're getting down to like the end of a ball, it can be a bit of a pain to take it off and put it back on again because the yarn kind of is very relaxed. But yeah, I use them every day. I love them. I definitely would recommend them. I did see actually there's a lady that I follow on Instagram called Knit Life Oils. I think that's her handle, and she uses a yarn holder which is slightly different. Well, it's a different design, but it's like a holder and then a spinning sort of spindle in the holder, but there's something about that design. I think it's stacked, so there's like a stack of what looks like discs underneath, and then it spins, and the yarn spins so that it comes off the ball easily, or the cake easily. But there's something about that design which stops it from being trapped underneath the base of the holder, so that stops the yarn from catching or yanking or breaking. So I'm interested in those kind of things as well, those kind of holders, but for now I'm using this. I've started a pair of 2 at a time socks. I've started them, they're cuff down. That's how they're looking at the moment. This is again a pattern that I've come up with. It's just a simple knit purl pattern. I'll show it to you at the moment. It's difficult to show with the lighting, but it's just a very simple, similar to this kind of pattern, but just the spacing is different, and it's very I just wanted sort of not minimal patterning, but a bit less of an overall pattern, but there's just something that would make the stitches stand out and would add a little bit of interest to a plain vanilla sock. So that's what it looks like at the moment. Yeah, just cast on, I think, yeah, cast on my cuff, knit it all on one set of needles. I did actually cast on all of the cuff stitches onto the needle. So I think the way that you do that is you cast on half of one sock, then you cast on all of the stitches of the next sock, and then you split the stitches so that you've got the loop come out, magic loop, and then you cast on the second half of the sock that you started with, so that you've got so that both of the socks have got all of the stitches on, and then you join in the round as you work round. Now I watched a tutorial by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. She did a tutorial on how to knit socks completely. I think it's from the magic loop, 2 at a time, cuff down. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I just watched how she started, because I'm going to follow that with the cuff and then the leg, and then I will go back and refer to the video and then have a look at how to do the heel turn, heel flap and gusset using her method, because she mentioned that she does that all on the needles without having to stop and change needles or take them off in any way. So that's brilliant. I did notice that the way that her tutorial handles the initial cast on is she will cast on using the magic loop method, and she'll just knit one cuff, and then she'll transfer that cuff onto DPNs, and then she'll cast on and knit her second cuff, and then she'll transfer back the first cuff back onto the DPNs, back onto the magic loop needles, so that she's finally got both socks on there, and she can knit them two at a time. And she said that that method she finds easier and quicker for her. And I do understand, because having done everything on this needle, I did find it a little tricky just starting out. It was sort of, not twisting the stitches was not too bad, because you do have to watch out when you're joining in the round to make sure you haven't twisted your stitches. That wasn't too bad, but I did have a bit of an issue with my yarn management, just working out, I don't know how it happened, but somehow my yarn came up through the middle of the needles when I joined in the round. So I had to knit a full round before I could drop it out from the middle of the needles. And it just made everything really tangled and a bit of a mess. So I completely see the wisdom of doing it that way, and probably the next pair of socks that I knit two at a time, because I will do it. So far I'm enjoying it. The next time I do that, I will probably use that method. She did say that you can knit, maybe she would recommend sorry, I've got some white yarn on my lip, there we go. She did recommend that if you wanted to knit most of the cuffs on magic loop two at a time, she would recommend doing at least 5 rows on the DPN and transferring them to the DPNs, and then doing 5 rows of the cuff and then transferring them across, because she said that it just seems to, especially when you're starting out, not have things to be so complicated. And I completely agree, and I can see that the next time I do this, I'll probably do that, do the 5 rounds, transfer them back. But other than that, I'm really enjoying knitting them two at a time. It's obviously slower, you're not seeing as much progress as quickly when you're knitting one sock at a time, because if you think, I knit those 2 socks, and if I'd knit one sock I would have made that much progress. So I probably would be finished the leg now and be starting the heel turn. But it's really nice to know that when I finish these socks, I will have finished a pair of socks. And I know that for me, second sock syndrome is a thing, especially with single colour socks. So I'm looking forward to having a complete pair by the time I've finished. But yes, I'm very happy with how successfully I'm working on those. And then the last thing really that I have to show, I don't think I've got anything else today, is some more yarn management, another yarn management sort of acquisition. So this is a little gadget thing that I bought from AliExpress. I'd just seen it advertised, I think, or it popped up in my feed when I was buying needles. And I really like it, it's very cute. So it's got some little plants. I went for the green, there's different colours. I went for the one with the little plants on it. You can choose, I think, well, depending on the pattern you choose, you can choose your strap colour as well. But it just comes, sort of broken down, and you have to put it together. It comes in 3 pieces. So it comes like this, and then you just have to slot one piece into the other, and I'll just show you. You would get a ball of yarn, pop it on like that, and it does actually come with like a little ring, so you pop the ring on and that kind of locks it together. And then there's the clip, and I think the thought is that you would have your knitting obviously attached to the ball of yarn, and then this on your wrist, and you could walk around and you can knit when you're on the go. So I did that. I mean, I wasn't particularly walking around so much, but I did sit and knit with this in the car especially. So what I did was I hooked it onto the visor. You know, you can flip out your visor on the car. Obviously I was the passenger. And I just hooked it over the little clip and then pushed the visor back to hold it in place. And yeah, and I knit. It was nice. It did wobble around a little bit, but that was just my placement. If I placed it somewhere else, it would have been better, because it's just like right there in your field of vision, like right in front of you. But yeah, I would probably work out another way to hook it on. Also, I could have used the clip and clipped it on elsewhere, and that would still have worked fine. Just trying to show you. Anyway, it does work. It's just it's quite warm in here at the moment. I haven't been able to put the AC on because it was very, very noisy, and also it takes quite a while to cool the room down, and I've been in the other room which has had the AC on, so anyway, everything's a bit warm. But yes, I really like this. I'd recommend it. It wasn't very expensive, and it did just help me to keep all of my yarn together, because when I did take a few projects away with me. I took this sock, and this basically I knit on the trip. I think I finished the toe when we came back to Colombo, and I knit it using this. So the yarn was on here, had it in my bag all the time. I could take it out with me in the car, and I just knit on the go when we were waiting. If I ever had like 5 minutes of waiting in the car, I would knit on it. And yeah, and when we were just like chatting with friends, I was able to take it out and knit on it. And it just saves it. I like it because it saves you having the ball of yarn sort of rolling around, or you have to keep it in your lap and make sure that it doesn't fall out. If you have it attached to this, it just made a nice little holder for it, so that I didn't have to keep worrying about the yarn rolling around. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I would definitely use it. I will take it with me when we go away, and I probably might get another one. I don't know if I'm not a huge fan of knitting colour work on the go so much, unless it's like simple colour work in the car. I have done that before, and I think in that instance yarn management is not too difficult, because you can have your spools of yarn like in a bag, and if you use a centre pull ball, it's not so difficult because it's not moving around and tangling up as much. But definitely for single colour, I do like that little gadget. I can't think what it's called. I'm just calling it like a portable yarn holder at the moment. But yeah, I would definitely use it again. Sorry, this has been very quick and not very much to share, but I'm hoping that next week I'll have a little bit more to share. I really, really need to weave in the ends. I'm just terrible at doing that. I put it all off and leave it, and it just like becomes this big thing in my mind, and then I will go through like a load of projects and weave in all the ends, and then feel a big sense of accomplishment. But I wish that I could just do it within the project. I should really do it as I go along, but I don't. So yeah, I've got all of these things. There's ends to weave in, and then I did get my sock blockers, which I feel awful. They came a couple of weeks ago, and I still haven't got round to opening them yet because of having guests and still having guests. So it'll be, I just wanted to sort of have the time to take them out, lay them out, have all of my projects ready, start using them, but I just have not had the time. So I'm going to hopefully have the sock blockers opened as well for the next time, and then I can start showing you my finished objects on my sock blockers, and they'll finally look nice and pretty in the way that I want them to, and without all of the stitch markers on them and the ends flying around. So that is my goal. So yeah, my goal for next week is to do some weaving in of ends. Yeah. And also I would like to start looking at ways to use my scraps, my yarn scraps, a bit better, because I have a lot of scraps, and sometimes it's enough to do like a cuff or a heel or a toe, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's not sock yarn, so it's not yarn that I can use for that kind of project, because sock yarn tends to have nylon in it, because nylon helps to make them more durable and for them not to wear through so much, but also gives that yarn a bit of elasticity so that it snaps back onto your leg and your foot when you're wearing it, and it maintains that negative ease. If you just knit in 100% natural fibres, then the socks tend to lose that elasticity, and also it's very easy because it's soft to wear through the soles of your yarn. There are exceptions to that. If you have very, very high twist yarn that's really sturdy, that will work, and a lot of people have said that they haven't worn through that kind of yarn, but most sock yarn, I would say most sock yarn has nylon or some other sort of man-made fibre in it to stop you from wearing through them so quickly, and to make it a little bit more durable. Can't remember where I was going with that. Yes, that's it. So I've got some scraps of yarn or ends that I can't use for socks. So I was thinking of maybe another project like a scrappy shawl or a blanket or something, but I do want to find something where I can use all of those little bits and pieces of yarn, because yeah, I've got a lot in my stash that I won't be able to use easily. So that's also like a little thing that I want to work on, but I don't know what I'm going to find to do with that yet. But anyway, that is me for this week. Sorry if I've been speaking a bit quickly. I will try and be calmer and more prepared and slow down for next time. I didn't have any notes today, so I'm sorry about that, and that's why I didn't know the titles of any of the books or anything. I did just want to highlight my little necklace. So this little necklace was a gift from my cousin and his wife. I really love it. I think they gave it to me in like 2012, 2013, something like that. And I just really, really love it. And I wasn't able to wear it for the longest time because I was wearing it every day, and then the chain broke, and for whatever reason it just sat in my bag. I knew exactly where it was, but the pendant just sat in my bag for years, and finally when my friends were here, we went to the jeweller's, and he just gave me a chain. So that was really, really kind of him, and it just means that has brought this little necklace back into circulation, and I love it, and I wear it every day. I don't take it off. So yeah, so that's why you can see this little thing in my videos now. But anyway, that's everything from me for today. Thank you very much for tuning in and for joining me. And thank you for all of your likes and your subscribes and recommendations as well. So I hope you have a lovely week. I hope you enjoy all of your knitting. Please share all of your projects with me, and thank you for those who have shared your knitting adventures with me. I really appreciate it. All right, till next week, take care. Happy knitting. Bye.